Bellbrook Roll, the show's called Bellbrook. We asked our new designer, Michael Lentz, to kind of rebrand Bellbrook. We feel like Bellbrook, the past few years, have always had a storyline, a character, a screen printed art, you know, an identity. We wanted to rebrand ourselves, and so when we asked Michael Lentz to come in, he was like, okay, well, let's get rid of all of that. I was like, okay. So he came up with the show Bellbrook because this is passing of the old, coming into the new. So, you know, we have all these beautiful bells around, who better to ring the bells but for Bellbrook. But then, like, you know, we get through the show, no music. The color guard is making music. We call it a soundscape, which for them is a process for everybody. We don't know what the tempo is. You don't know where count 8 is. Where's count 8? Where's count 1? You know, as we're going through the show, we're progressing. We hit the different kind of bells. We have tone chimes. We have chimes in the back, and then we have just the regular bells. But then at the end, we notice that like the bells are being pushed over, and that right there is kind of like saying goodbye to the old. Here's to the new. Honestly, at the end of every rehearsal, every run through, every show, I always tell them, I don't know how you guys do it. You guys are very good at spinning together, but with no time. You don't know where count 1 is, you don't know where count 2 is, and you guys just know how to do it. What do you guys do? And they just said they internalize the tempo, and of course they're always just watching, but they have to be aware of each other's show, of each person for 5.5 minutes. And I think that's where, when we press play on a sound like a soundtrack, you know, from count 1 to count 8, I know I have to go from point A to point B. In this show, there are no counts and there are no points. So they have to just be aware that like when this person goes, then I have to go. Or when that person hits a chime, then that person goes. So they all know each other's shows. Like they can do each other's tracks. So what happened was we have this thing called the tornado, and they were supposed to ring the bells and all the bells, and during practice one of the bells fell over, and I was like, oh my gosh. And Michael's like, yeah, we're gonna do that. And I looked at it and I'm like, okay, I gotta tell my guard dads that we're about to bust their props and we'll just get over it. So the girls were kind of like, what are we doing again? So they were kind of against it, I was kind of against it. We got through the initial of dropping the props and I was like, okay, this actually, there's a shock value to it, because what you just experienced and reacted was like, oh God, oh no, okay.